So we're on to our next segment in Series 4, playing over changes. So far we've had B, E flat minor 7, G sharp minor 7, G sharp minor 7 over F sharp, B over F sharp, A over E, and now we come to F sharp 11. Now one of the things it's very, very important to avoid doing is to be intimidated by long chord names. Now, all of these chord names are a recipe for a collection of notes, and some recipes are more complicated than others, but that's not going to alter the number of strings you've got, it's not going to alter the number of frets you've got, and it's certainly not going to alter the number of fingers you've got. So whatever you're going to play is going to be within those parameters, so the title of it doesn't matter. This is F sharp 11. Okay. Now, an 11th chord is quite an interesting, let's call it quite an interesting animal, if you will. It's rather like a very large sus4 chord. So to give you an example, let's take a different key, slightly easier to hear at this, I think. Suppose I did this. Okay, and then I turned it into this. Songs we do. So you've got Hall & Oates, She's Gone, you've got 10cc, I'm Not in Love, you've got How Long Has This Been Going On, Ace. There are loads of them. So 11th chords generally will resolve back to the standard chord. So A11 or A sus4 with tying some posh shoes on, if you like. Going back to A. Now and again they'll crop up in 1980s and 90s cop shows, you know, those sort of sounds, but most of the time you tend to hear 11th chords resolving, except this one doesn't. This one actually ends up going to a G sharp minor of all things. Now, interesting thing about an 11th chord, and I'm going to take this again, I'm going to take it in a slightly easier key to get your head round to start with. Okay, what we have with an 11th chord, we have, I'm going to take the key of A here, we have 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, and in guitar chord 7 is actually a flat 7, so 1, 3, 5, flat 7. Okay, then we get 9 and 11, which is 4 in old money. Now, I don't know whether you just heard that, but my ears just pricked up there and said, oh, hang on, that's G. G. Okay, so an A11th chord is a mixture of A and G. Okay, and there's some great examples of actually two almost musical opposites, but very different guitar players playing over this. You've got Angus Young doing a version of Broadway, which is blinding, absolutely great playing, and it uses this. That going all the way through, and also obviously George Benson doing the same thing with completely different guitars, completely different guitar sounds, but harmonically it's very much the same thing. We've got ourselves a little rule there then, haven't we? So an 11th chord is a mixture of its name, so A, plus the chord 2 frets below, so A and G. So if I had E and I had D, now I've got an E11th chord. Now I'll be talking much more about these in other videos, but okay, here's F sharp 11. Now that's going to be a combination of F sharp and E, and now if you look at that finger, in fact here's a little graphic of that so you can see it easily. it's as if I played an E, but I put my finger on the wrong string. The second finger's on the sixth string and not the fifth. Okay, now if we think about the construction of that 11th chord being a mixture of F sharp and E put together, and we're already playing an A, this is another example of playing over a change, and we've come across this I think 3 or 4 times now. Playing from a chord which is a fourth above, dropping to a chord underneath it. So A to E, B to F sharp, D to A, C to G. Okay, now the reason we can say that is because of our F sharp being that combination of 2 chords. So we can play over our A. Yeah, okay. Now, there's all sorts of lines you could play here. But the most important thing is something actually which we haven't come across at all at this point with any of the major chords we've played. Now, this is to do with the fact that we're in the key of B. Okay. Now, the diatonic purists, I'll call them that, would say, well, oh yes, but if you're in the key of B, you can't have an A, can you? Well, yes, you can, because this is rock, and it's another subject I'll be coming to in future. But the upshot of it is basically this. Okay. Our key is B. Okay. If we're playing A, that's a little hard on the ear. It's not to say people haven't used it in the past, but in this particular sequence, it means that the harmonies of the B hang over. You hear that? Now, let's suppose the sequence was written slightly different, so it went or whatever. You can hear how that's going to work. So, okay, where we would normally have thought to ourselves, well, we could have gone, it's actually not going to sound quite right. So we've got to actually play, dare I even mention it, a flat fifth. Yeah, okay, so it's just a little thing to watch out for. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, well look, that's probably one of the more challenging sequences, or chord changes I should say, that we've looked at, just those 2, because there's a little bit of thinking to be done about what to do and how to get around that stuff. But it's so important. Once you've done your thinking, then stop thinking about it, start playing some music. You know, you don't want to be going out there with a calculator. You need to use your ears, really. But to help your ears along the way, understanding how those 2 chords meld together is very important. Okay, thanks very much for watching, and please remember to hit the subscribe button if you could. Okay, bye for now.